Hey everybody, I am just going to make a video right now about something that I wrote up, and that I'm just going to do one take here. So if I mess up a little bit, that's fine, but I've got to get this out. This is something I've been working on for a few days in order to end sex trafficking, because I believe that we can do that right now, like before we leave our homes from our quarantine. I truly believe that we can end sex trafficking right now, and I'll explain in a minute. But the reason that we're running low on time right now is that there are a lot of people that are getting really antsy and want to rebel and want to leave their house and want to, they're marching on the Capitol and getting really loud about it. And so if these people knew what we're actually capable of right now, if we just stay home, then I think they would want to stay home. And I really truly believe that we can change the entire system right now, and by ending the sex trafficking at the very top of the system. Because by ending the sex trafficking of the system, we can immediately, that's how we're going to know who's good and who's not good. Right? It's a really simple process. We just go after the pedophiles, right? And nobody can really argue that. So I'm going to read something that I wrote, and it turned out to be really long. And so my wife, my life partner, my business partner, my guide, told me, she was an English major, and so she gave me a shorter version to put out to Facebook and to social media. But I felt like everything I wrote was important and needs to get out anyway. And so I think it helps create a bigger picture. And so the quick version will be for the people that aren't going to take the time to read. And then I'll do this longer version. I'm just going to read it here off of my phone and, interject a little bit when I feel the need to. But I hope you all are willing to end sex trafficking with me right now. I think you'll see that it's pretty clear and pretty easy how we can do that. I mean, they pretty much set us up for this, making us stay home and crashing the economy. And I mean, we've really shown them who has the power at this point, and so they really do need us to get back to work, to pull the levers and push the buttons. And I'm happy to have the planet go back to work, but I don't think anyone wants to go back to work to a system that is run by pedophiles and Satanists. And so, but anyway, that proof is all out there. For those of you that have seen Out of the Shadows, I've been following this stuff for a decade and a half, actually about 2 decades, since 9/11, and just watching and watching and watching and waiting. And now's the time. So here we are. I'm just going to read it from here, okay? Every single person who uses the term conspiracy theory is enabling pedophiles. Stay with me for a minute. I'll explain in no uncertain terms why this is a hard fact. And a hard fact. There are no gray areas here. I'll say it again for those in the back who don't understand how very direct I'm being. Every single person who uses the term conspiracy theory is directly enabling the kidnapping, rape, ritualistic torture, and murder of children. To be clear, I'm not using metaphor here. I'm not being clever to make a tricky point at the end. If you call someone a conspiracy theorist as a way to discredit them, you are directly contributing to the kidnapping, rape, ritualistic torture, and murder of children. If you hear about this stuff, but then shrug it off because you don't know or don't want to know, you are directly supporting these pedophiles, and that is a fact. It's the only way they can stay in power is if we look the other way, because it's all out there. They put it right in front of our face, and we say, ha ha ha, that couldn't possibly be real, but it is. And it's very uncomfortable to know. You might as well be shrugging off the Nazis killing the Jews because it's uncomfortable to look at, but it happened. So it's time to start looking. It's time to start paying attention. And I've known for 19 years, and it's it's a lot of weight to carry on your own. When the majority of people want to attack you for pointing it out, instead of going after the pedophiles for kidnapping, raping, torturing, and murdering children. They'd rather point the finger, at the person pointing it out than, actually looking at the people that are killing kids, because this is real. 15 years ago, I started training hard in close quarter combat. This is how serious I was about this, you guys, and I have been for a decade and a half. I started training close quarter combat, hand-to-hand combat, knife fighting, gun fighting, specifically for the purpose of kicking down doors and breaking apart sex slavery rings. I trained for years straight, not for trophies, not for belts. I did it for the women and children. It's what drove me. I even started making a product at one point to help women and children understand it and be able to protect themselves from it. I then got engaged to a woman who was concerned I wouldn't make it home from one of my missions. So I stopped before I could really get started because I wanted to start a family. Several years later, I met and married my wife, Jen, and we started a practice. This was 8 years ago that I married Jen. And we started a practice helping mainly victims of sexual abuse through an extremely intensive process that ultimately led to them releasing the most toxic, debilitating virus that is keeping the majority of humans from really knowing themselves and being able to access the truth that is all around them. This virus is an emotion, and it's the same thing keeping anyone who uses the term conspiracy theory from seeing the truth as well. So what is this virus? Shame. Shame creates a veil over truth, a distorted reality that keeps your eyes down, unable to stare into the light of truth. Shame is the core wound as represented by Adam and Eve eating the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and being ejected from the Garden of Eden and exposed to a life of sin. Shame is a loss of innocence created by a lie you told or a trauma inflicted upon you. Those who experience shame force themselves to look away from the thing that triggers the shame. When we started our healing work, we knew that shame was the core thing that if we were able to clear from the planet, would end rape, sex trafficking, and all these other horrible systems that keep these networks running. That includes the media. It includes the people that are financing them. It includes a lot of big money moving around the planet. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. When we started that work 8 years ago, our clients thought they were the only ones who had been raped. This was 8 years ago. Nobody was talking about it. So they wouldn't talk about it. So then nobody talked about it. So it kept happening to people in the home, in the Boy Scouts, in the military, in the government, in the Catholic Church. We knew that if we could get people talking about it, if we could clear enough shame just to get people talking about it, then we could stop it. So we created groups where people overcame their shame of talking about it. And for the first time, these women were able to talk to other women who had experienced similar traumas, and they felt normal again. Some of them for the first time. We talked about it in private groups, on many stages, in panels, on TV, on Sirius and XM radio, and we were featured in a bunch of major online publications as well. This was so new to talk about in public. When we started doing it 8 years ago, we blew up really fast. We got pitched for TV shows from the producers of everything from Survivor and Big Brother to Top Chef and Project Runway. We even filmed a sizzle reel for the producers of Long Island Medium. The downside was the intense hate mail and death threats we got for speaking up about it. Now, this was really difficult, because keep in mind, just before that, I was a mailman, my wife was a preschool teacher, and then we get thrust into, the limelight, basically, and we get thrust on stage, and now we've got people like Bill O'Reilly are talking about us, and Young Turks are bashing us, and you know, nobody wanted to look at it. And so we were getting death threats, and I was hiding them from Jen because they were freaky and they were real. Any downside? Yeah. But then our clients started talking about it to their groups and on stage and on social media. And just like that, the movement started spreading, and the shackles of shame no longer held their minds imprisoned. When we saw that our job was done a few years later, and there was enough momentum that we didn't need to keep talking about it, we moved on. Then, shortly after that, the Me Too movement happened, and the world spoke up for the first time as a collective, exposing what nobody wanted to see. Then 2 of the biggest pedophiles and abusers in the world were arrested, Epstein and Weinstein. I was waiting for that for a long time. The billionaire Jeffrey Epstein provided young girls to politicians, world leaders, and Hollywood superstars. Yes, he really did. Google it. If you don't know about this, Google Jeffrey Epstein. It's all really easy. For years, I had said publicly that the only thing that will unite every race, every class, every religion, every political group is the understanding that pedophilia is bad. We can all agree on one thing. I said that if enough people became aware of it, Epstein would get arrested and the rest of the pedophiles in charge would fall like dominoes. It was never going to happen, though, as long as people kept being able to just laugh it off as a conspiracy theory. Well, it has now been proven to be a real-life, authentic, verifiable conspiracy. US presidents were in on it, the royal family was in on it, A-list celebrities were in on it, the tech elite were in on it, top fund managers were in on it, and government alphabet agencies were in on it. That, folks, is called a conspiracy fact that conspiracy realists knew about forever because all the information has been available online for decades, and conspiracy deniers allowed to happen by shouting down everyone who tried talking about it. This is how the mass media and entertainment outlets, and yes, the CIA, have trained the masses. They keep them in distraction and shame so they can't see the truth. JFK died for exposing this truth, yet to this day, the masses think that it isn't real, that this isn't really happening because it isn't mainstream media. Well, mainstream media is full of it, and mainstream media is entertainment. It's not news. It certainly isn't journalism. The real journalist is in prison, Assange. It's all right there in JFK's words when he said, "For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned. No rumor is printed. No secret is revealed." So if you're looking for proof on mainstream media, I'm sorry, you ain't gonna find it. It's just not there. It's gonna be the conspiracy realists that are going to be exposing it. He goes on to say, it conducts the Cold War, in short, With a wartime discipline no democracy would ever hope or wish to match. Now, here's the thing about Epstein. The Clintons knew about Epstein. The Obamas knew about Epstein and did nothing. The Clintons did nothing. Trump knew about Epstein and took him out. He took him down. He arrested him. His reign of terror. He got him. I was waiting for that for at least a decade. He did it. And I knew he was going to get killed too. In maximum security, right? Finally, the collective was ready. And the man who could take down every psychopath in a leading role was arrested. He had all the evidence. That was the milestone I had been waiting to see for years. It meant they didn't have much time left, and the conspiracy was finally about to be exposed. I was proud of the work we had done clearing the collective shame to allow us to get to that moment. And it wasn't easy work. Listening to these women's deepest held secrets of regular child abuse, pedophilia within the family, and ritualistic abuse. For 5 years, our business was women telling us, these are women leaders that don't talk about it. Women telling us about being passed around as children, 3 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old, to be raped, passed around to their family, to their neighbors, to their friends, to be raped. Can you imagine this happening to your kids? Like, let's really put it into perspective. These aren't just words. These are real people being raped. You ever heard these stories from someone in person as they're going through it? It's heavy. It's a lot. It's real. They're not making it up. Some of them were put under spells to be raped. We heard stories from women of being in government programs that confirmed much of what people have called a conspiracy theory. They didn't just tell us their story. They cried. They sobbed. They wailed. They screamed. They shook. Their eyes rolled back in their head. Their backs arched. They curled up like fetuses, and they heaved, and they vomited, and they felt like they were going to die. They were doing the deep work. They made the sounds of a dying animal being tortured as the traumas and demons exited their bodies. Shame digs its talons deep. Anyone who hasn't experienced something like this couldn't possibly be aware of the level of evil people are capable of inflicting on an innocent young child. Yet people scream conspiracy theorists at these women because they don't know, because they're too afraid to look. There were many sessions where my wife, Jen, would collapse on the ground in pain and emotional distress with her stomachs in knots. If you're an empath, you understand. We would be crying right there with our client, and sometimes we needed a stiff drink afterwards to calm our nervous system. This stuff doesn't seem possible, but it is. We have seen it all, and we've heard it all. We are experts. This stuff is not for the faint of heart. So when I hear someone say the words conspiracy theory, it makes me furious, because I know how it belittles these powerful women. It makes it impossible for the victims to tell their story, and if the victims can't tell their story, the perpetrators can't be stopped. So if you ever want to use that horrible term again, do so with the very clear understanding that you are directly supporting pedophiles and damaging women and children who have experienced it in real life and actually know what's going on. Like, for real, because this is real life. This is real life we're talking about. And if you want to shout conspiracy theory, you better be damn sure you're certain of it. You better be sure you've really looked into it for months, years, not hours. If you want to defer your opinion to a Snopes article, you better know what you are doing, because this is life and death for some people. Maybe not you, but for some people, this is a very real experience. Anyone who looks at Marina Abramovich's demonic pictures and shrugs it off as art has bought the lie, hook, line, and sinker. Art. Give me a break. It's art for people who love satanic rituals. It's not just art. Anyone who doesn't look at her art and have their stomach turned inside out and upside down is deeply infected with the virus of shame. They are unable to see it for what it really is. They don't want to see it. They are not seeing what the rest of us are seeing when we look at that and we say, what the? And that's the test. If you look at her spirit cooking garbage and don't immediately see the truth of what it is, that is shame creating a veil of denial. The correct response for seeing that truth, for looking at it and seeing it for what it is, oh my dear God, I am so sorry. I have refused to see the dark underbelly of our society. I will no longer turn a blind eye, and I will do whatever it takes to make sure these pedophiles and Satanists are held accountable for their actions and are unable to break up another family or harm another child. Many are not able to see God until they see Satan in these people. Now, 4.5 years ago, I moved my family to Costa Rica because the majority of people in the USA were fast asleep. And we saw a great fall coming that I didn't want to be a part of. We bought a luxury resort on a couple hundred acres in the jungle and started selling homes to a community of people who were hearing a similar message and wanted a place they could get away that had clean water, clean food, and clean air. It has been our Jedi training escaping the matrix-like mind control of the Western world. And it really is. And you really can't tell for sure 100% until you've gotten out of it and you're just hanging out in the peace in the jungle with the monkeys, and you can look back on everyone else and say, whoa, wow, can't believe I used to be a part of all that. We got to see things from a higher perspective, and we learned a lot, and we let go of a lot, and it prepared us for this moment. It is impossible to describe how living in the jungle for half a decade changes you as a person, but maybe you can feel it. Watching the USA in quarantine has been extremely inspiring to us, and it has given us hope for this great nation. We hoped that when people went inside of their homes, they would also go inside of themselves and discover the truth. And they have. They are. So thank you. I was so excited when we saw that Marina Abramovic video with Mr. Bill Gates, the Microsoft video taken down. Woo! Those comments and all the comments on Gates' Twitter and on Ellen's video interview with him. You guys are waking up. Thank you. We have seen so much open discussion of these topics on social media, and now is the perfect time because the masses are searching for answers. They're looking for the answers, finally, because they don't have all the distractions out there. Those of us who have been carrying the weight of knowing these things but not being able to speak them out loud are feeling an incredible sense of relief. Aren't you? I know you are. So what do we do about it? Now, I know I'm risking my life for saying this because people have been killed for much less, which is why some of you saw me post a couple of weeks ago asking for an introduction to Anonymous. I didn't want to have my name on this. I wanted it to be totally anonymous. But my contact wasn't able to come through, so I'm doing it myself because we're running out of time. We don't have time to screw around. I don't have time to make sure the video is perfect. I don't even have time to edit my post. I don't have time to even figure out how to make something go viral, right? So if one of you knows how to make something go viral, I don't do it. I've never done this before. I don't know. Our business is word of mouth, and you know, we don't do marketing. We don't run Facebook ads. You know, I don't know anything about it. If anybody knows how to get this out to the masses, and this is some serious stuff, guys, and I need some serious help with this. And I don't need it connected to me. Just if you take it and run with it, you know, there's a lot of people that really know what's going on. This is a part of why I'm so convinced we can do it now, because there's a lot of people out there that are holding Trump accountable for rescuing these kids. And they're putting all of their attention, all their prayers, all their energy into Trump is going to do this. Trump is going to make this happen. And so whether he does or not is of no consequence, because we can demand it. So if he does it, great, cool. And if he just takes down some lower level people, some people, you know, at the bottom or people at the middle, but doesn't take the head, we need to demand that the head gets taken out too. Because we've got to get all the pedophiles at the very top and the very bottom. We've got to get everyone, and we have to deal with them accordingly. Not right now, buddy. Not right now, buddy. I'm making a video. Quarantine videos, guys. All right. Merrick, do you want to come say hi? Come here, dude. Come see. This is why I'm doing it right here. Merrick and my girls, Bella and Mara. Come here, buddy. Come here. Say hi.
Hi.
Come here. Ah, that's my boy. He's my little sweetheart. And you know what? What would happen to my heart if anything happened to my little sweetheart? If he disappeared and I knew what was happening to him, and I knew that he was alone and afraid and wondering where we were, and I couldn't find him. Yeah, that's why I'm doing this, because this happens to tens of thousands of kids every single year. All right, you guys go back and play. Thanks, buddy. I love you. Now, I love you. Okay, so this is something that needs to be done now, because if people leave their houses before this happens, we're done. We've got to wait until the next one of these, because people aren't going to leave and then go back to their jobs and then try to figure this out again. They're going to be distracted again. Right now, people are going inside. So, because we are in a very powerful position. For 6 years, Jen and I have known that people were only one paycheck away from bankruptcy. So they would never risk losing their jobs to stand up for what is right. Well, here we are, with everyone stuck at home, waiting to be vaccinated so they can get back to work, propping up the stock market and the stock portfolios of those who until now have had all the power and control. People are starting to remember who really has the power. As the economy crashes again and again, because the masses are not out there at work pushing buttons and pulling levers. They say if we don't get back to work by May 1st, it could do irreparable damage to the world economy. Now, I will say one thing. I saw a post from someone the other day. I don't know exactly where it is. I'll have to maybe post it in the comments or something, of how history and government changes every 80 years, whatever that amount is in years. Every 80 years, something huge happens. You know, the New Deal or whatever. This goes back. This goes back a long time. Through 7 or 8 or 9 of these shifts. Now, 80 years for the next government change should have been 7 years ago. And so I think this is it. I think this is it right now. And I think it's going to be whatever happens when we take the pedophiles out of the government, and then we can start with the clean energy from truth. Okay. So, I think we should all stay home until they arrest every single known pedophile on the planet, or the economy is going down the drain. We have to refuse to participate in an economy that funds and protects these pedophiles. If we only have 2 weeks until the economy crashes for good, then they've got 2 weeks to arrest every single known pedophile. They already know who they are, but we have to demand it. Trump can't do it on his own, but he will do it if we say, Trump, all of us want you to arrest the pedophiles. He'll say, okay, let's arrest the pedophiles. And if we get the pedophiles at the top, those who fund them, those in the media who lie for them, we remove the majority of the problems in our world governments. Truth is then revealed on a global scale, and we will be united like never before. Let's be united from something like that and not from another natural disaster or false flag disaster. For those of you who have read the book of Revelation recently, you can actually see a pretty clear timeline of what has already happened and what has not yet happened. I laughed recently when we were reading it because it's literally been right there for a couple thousand years. We're in the last chapter of the book, and we have a unique opportunity to do things right now before Gates mandates the mark of the beast. And I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was thinking about, growing up, we feel like, well, I've always felt like I was going to be participating in this shift of light, right? That I was going to be participating in making the world a better place in this way. And I've always had a draw to Revelation being the end times, and always thinking, yeah, that's probably going to happen in my time, And now that I look at it right now and I see it happening, and we always talk about the Great Awakening. Well, what is the Great Awakening? What does it look like? Does it look like everyone's staying at home and going inward and doing their research? And I'm seeing a whole new feel in my Facebook feed of people that are like, wait, is this true? Wait, oh my God, everyone's sharing it now. Everyone's talking about it now. The truth is coming out. The truth is being exposed. I don't think before this would have happened. I don't think people would have done that to Bill Gates. I don't think he expected that. I think that was a big surprise for him. So I do think we are in the Great Awakening. And what does it look like? I think this is what it looks like. I think it looks like everyone waking up and spreading the word, and it looks like taking out the pedophiles and then hearing the truth. Because there's been nothing but lies in the media and manipulation through our movies and all this stuff. And again, a good movie that explains this that recently just came out. There's a ton of great movies out there. It feels like a good documentary comes out every 6 months or so. But the most recent one that everyone's sharing and talking about is Out of the Shadows with Liz Crokin, who was what the heck's it called? A journalist, and she worked in she was on primetime TV, and she worked in the White House for a little bit as well. So real deal stuff. And she got fired when she started talking about this, but now she can talk about it, can't she? Okay, so how is this going to be possible? So I just made a quick list. Again, I'm probably missing stuff here, but we'll be fleshing it out more later, and I'll talk about this in a minute. So first, we need to create an information, and this is not in any particular order, by the way. This is just my brain dump. We create an information dissemination campaign that gets this information in front of every adult around the world. Out of the Shadows is an amazing start, but there's more. There's a lot more. It's just scratching the surface. It's just a quick mind opener. We need to create a list of every known pedophile, demand their arrest, and then interrogate them until they give up everyone else in their network. We need to get every last one, or else I'm not going to feel safe with my kids. We can appeal to President Trump's identity and love of good ratings. He is currently the most hated man on the planet, but taking down the pedophiles at the top will automatically make everyone on the planet see him as the best president of all time. It's a storyline fit for a hit movie. Don't let your hatred for the president distract you from our ability to take down sex slavery right now. That is the goal. That is the goal. We use all the energy and we take it down now. We end it. If he does it, the rest of the leaders will have to as well, or else they will be arrested as well. We've got to demand it. There are, oh, here's the other thing. This is what's great. There are millions of QAnons who are spending all day and night, every day and night, collecting the information and evidence on these people with the intention of arresting them. They believe with everything in their hearts that President Trump is going to arrest these pedophiles. So if he doesn't, they will be happy to demand it. We need to create a movement that spreads as fast as the Me Too movement did. That thing caught like wildfire. And now some people say it was a distraction from some other stuff. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's got the energy. People spoke up. People started talking about it. People started going out in public. And now we're free. We need to enlist the help of those with the biggest reach, so they can get people, so they can let people know what's really going on and have them join us. Because we've got to get everybody. This has to be everybody staying at home. This has to be everybody. And of course, there's much more, but this is the Cliff Notes version. More will be fleshed out later. And phase 2 is or maybe phase 3 is going to be, okay, what do we do with them when we capture them? You know, what do we actually do with them? And a lot of people say we've got to assassinate them or kill them or, you know, hang them or shoot them or whatever. I think even the president said swift death or whatever. I don't remember exactly the right words, but, you know, we've got to, it's not killing them. We can't kill them. We can't. It's, yeah, there's a whole other thing that we've got to do. And it's got to look like what Nelson Mandela did in South Africa with this forgiveness and reconciliation campaign. It has to look like that, or we are going to re-traumatize ourselves, and we are going to lose. It's important that everyone plays a part in this, or else we can't do it. We can't expect one person to save us all. We can't expect Trump to save us all. We can't expect the president to do all the work. We've been saying this forever. And now let's actually do something about it. We need to take our power back and do it ourselves. That is how we walk away with dignity and grace and a sense of accomplishment for creating a new world. We need everyone to speak up and share and spread the message. And don't let people bully you by calling you a conspiracy theorist. We know the truth, and we will play our patriotic role of protecting our country and our family. Anyone who does not wish to participate in declaring and declawing and defanging these pedophiles will eventually need to be pressured into it the same way they have pressured us into enabling the pedophiles with our silence. To be clear, all I'm saying is that every single pedophile on the planet needs to be arrested and dealt with accordingly. Now, if I'm arrested or killed for suggesting that we arrest the pedophiles at the top, it will only prove my point that they don't want this information to get to you, and you must carry on without me and take care of my family, please. The more of you who commit to the mission with me, the safer we will all be in numbers. This is why it has to go out fast and it has to go out hard, you guys. And I'll say clearly for the record, I am not suicidal. I am not on medication. I am not on drugs. I love my life. I love my wife. We have a perfect relationship. I have a great relationship with my kids. We are happy. We are doing well. I don't have suicidal thoughts. There's no part of me that would consider taking my life. There is no reason within our current situation that I would ever end up dead for any reason. I am a good driver. I am a safe driver. I trained to be a stuntman. I trained to be a police officer. I can avoid accidents quickly in the blink of an eye. I am trained in hand-to-hand combat. I'm a very safe and well-protected person. So if something happens to me, it was not an average person. It was not an average murder, okay? I know how this game works, and I choose life. I choose a new world without sex trafficking and pedophilia. That is my commitment. Okay, with that said, here are our first steps. Since many people don't seem to have an emotional reaction to a child they have never met being kidnapped, trafficked, raped, murdered, and tortured and murdered, we have to bring it closer to home, emotionally speaking. So you have to imagine, and we have to get them to imagine, if one of their kids, if one of your kids or your nieces and nephews or your neighbor's kids, if you don't have kids, were arrested, or sorry, were kidnapped. And we have to commit to ending this practice for them. We have to do it for our kids. We have to do it for our little ones. That's my 4-year-old, I've got a 3-year-old, and I've got a 6-year-old. And we're doing it for them because our neighbor across the street, we're in the US right now while this is all going down. We chose to be here to feel what you all are feeling instead of being up in our castle in the jungle. We chose to be here because we knew that now was the time for us to do something about it. And so, we've been preparing with our ark for 5.5 years. And, when it all came down, our intuition was clear that we needed to be here with all of you. So we're here back in the US, and what happens first thing? My kids are riding their bikes, and our neighbors come out and tell us, hey, just so you know, there's a lot of sex trafficking going on. So don't let your kids out of your sight. Well, that sucks, you guys. That really sucks, and that wasn't the same. It wasn't like that when I was a kid. We used to go disappear all day and nobody was worried about us. So it ain't normal. It's not normal, and it shouldn't be normal, and we need to demand that it stops. Tens of thousands of children are kidnapped every year, never to be seen again. Who would you be devastated to never hear their little voice again? For me, it's my 3 brilliant little babies and my 4 nieces and nephews. Those would hit me the hardest. So I guess you can say I'm doing it for them, although I'm doing it for your kids as well and their kids. Please share this with everyone and everywhere with the hashtag #IStayHomeFor, and list your top kids that you're willing to do this for. Now, I know this was if you saw Kevin Bacon's video saying "I stay home for," and his wife conveniently says, "Hey, Kev," and he says, "Oh, speak of the devil." Well, no. We're not speaking of the devil anymore. We're not falling for that anymore. We're not playing that game anymore. We're going to flip this game on its head. We're going to flip this energy on its head, and we're going to co-opt that, and we are going to stay home. They made us stay home. Oh, we are going to stay home. And we'll sit here like this, and that's all we got to do, because if we do it now, we can save lives. We don't have to go riot. We don't have to go march. We don't have to go deal with SWAT teams and their tear gas and their non-lethal rounds and their batons. We don't have to do that right now, you guys. We don't have to do it. We don't have to go out there and risk our safety. We just sit home and play with our kids. Now, I know some people are worried about finances and money and food and all this, and part of the plan is we will have to figure out a way to support them. We will have to figure out a way to, as a community, get them food, get them rice, get them beans, and worst case scenario, I would be willing to go 30 days without food. I've done it before. I have fasted for 30 days before. There are ways of doing it, and it's actually really good for the system. And if it takes going without food for 30 days, which is possible, I know it feels like we're going to die, but we're not. We're good. It's a good clearing of the system. If I would be willing to do that to rescue these women and children and take down the pedophiles that are running these insane trafficking rings, okay, and taking back our government, taking back our incredible country. This is the most patriotic thing you could do, instead of or we could be selfish and just go back to work and think of ourselves and not think about these kids, okay? And then what happens when your kid gets kidnapped and disappears, and we're like, because it is going to get worse, you guys. It is going to get worse. So please share this and use the hashtag. For me, hashtag I stay home for my 3 babies, Bella, Merrick, and Mara. Okay, I'm doing it for them. I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this for my kids. I'm going out on a limb here, and you are going to need to go out on a limb, and it might be scary. And you might be afraid of being laughed at. I'm sorry. Take the risk. Let's grow some grow some cojones, and take a risk. Let's take a big risk right now, because I think this is something that everybody can get on board with. I don't think this is something anyone's gonna make fun of us for, you guys. We got to demand this, okay? And if they do make fun of you, that's on them. They're supporting pedophiles, okay? So I hope you feel confident in sharing this, knowing that anyone who picks one random point to argue about instead of focusing on the big picture of ending sex trafficking, they are directly supporting sex trafficking by trying to silence you. Anyone who fights you on this is supporting sex trafficking by trying to silence you. Anyone who chooses to look the other way instead of participating in sharing and staying home is supporting sex trafficking. And you, my friends, are going to be the end of sex trafficking. And I keep seeing a meme going around. That's all I've got. So I keep seeing a meme going around with it's like a man and it's like an old man and a kid saying, "Daddy, what did you do in the during the quarantine, the great coronavirus pandemic?" And he said, "Oh, I sat around and posted memes." You know, well, what if we could say, "We ended sex slavery," right? We took back our government, and the government that you're living under right now is run by good people. And here's the thing, guys, the good people in our government, the good people in our police force, the good people in our military will support us. They have to. They have to. And they will stick around. They will stick around to help. And there are leaders all around us that are not in government because they cannot be in that system, because it's a broken system of bribes and backroom deals. And when we get these pedophiles from the top, we'll be able to bring the truth to the light. And those of us that are leaders will lead in different ways. We will be able to pick this up. We will be able to clean it up. There are brilliant people that have been creating brilliant systems for decades that are designed to replace these old systems. Now, here's the thing, you guys. I'll say a couple more really important things that I've been thinking about since reading this that I didn't have time to put in there. One, I'm going to be creating a phone call. I'm going to be hosting a phone call this Saturday in 2 days. I believe it's the 17th. I believe Saturday the 17th, with leaders with big followings, with a big reach. So people that are reaching people in the millions. If you know somebody, if you have a contact with somebody, please send them my way. They can find me. There's lots of ways to find me. They can find us through. They can find me, right? Find me on Facebook or something, or find someone who knows me. Y'all know how to get a hold of me, okay? And I'm going to be doing a call, and we're going to talk about how we can join forces and make this happen. We can talk about how to get this viral, and it just takes a couple. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of these videos that are going out there, conspiracy videos, where people are like, yes, okay, finally something that makes sense. Finally, the pieces are being put together. Because, like I said before, the media is not going to talk about this. So if someone's looking for proof in mainstream media, they're not going to find it. And so those of us that have known for decades have had to put a lot of pieces together on faith and in trust and in using our intuition. And for a lot of us, these things have continued to play out accurately over the last couple decades. And here we are, and it's all happening. It's all happening right now. We can look around. We don't need mainstream media to know what's happening. We can look around and say, well, Epstein got arrested. Wow, wait, go Google him. Look at his black book. Look at all the people that were hanging out with him. 60 Minutes did a whole segment on him. Go watch it. The information's out there. Go research Weinstein a little bit. Research. There's a lot of people talking about the people that raped them in Hollywood, right? There's documentaries that are coming out. There's court cases that we can refer to. The information's all out there for those that are willing to put the pieces together. My job is not to prove anything. My job is not to prove it. Everything's out there. This is for the people that know. This is for the people that feel truth. And a lot of these people are the Christians. It's the Christians that feel the truth and are being guided to do this right now. So, I'm going to host a call Saturday and for these big leaders, and we're going to talk about this, and we're going to, we're going to push this hard, and we're going to do this right now. And so, the other thing that we're going to do, guys, these people that are at the top and are pedophiles at the top, they hold in their bank accounts billions and billions and billions, perhaps trillions of dollars in their bank accounts. So those of us that are trying to figure out how to get back to work and get back to business and make money again, because we got to eat, we got to pay our bills, we got credit cards, we got a mortgage, we got rent. Well, here's what we can do. All right, we stick tight. This is an investment, you guys. This is an investment. This is the biggest investment we'll ever make. This is an investment in our future. This is an investment in our kids' future. This is an investment in our lives, in our quality of lives, and our sanity. Because a lot of people have been miserable and depressed and a deep knowing that something's wrong, that something is not right, and they don't know what it is, and they've been forced to think it's them. They've been forced to think it's them. We've been gaslighted. And now is the time where we can say, look, it ain't me, right? The truth comes out, and we get to seize these bank accounts. We will seize these bank accounts, and we will distribute the money to important systems to help these kids that have been trafficked, because a lot of them aren't going to have families to go back to, and a lot of them are really, really emotionally traumatized and damaged. They're going to need help. They're going to need a lot of help. They're going to need a lot of prayer. Psychotherapy. That'll do a little bit. Prayer. We got to exercise some demons, you guys. We're gonna need orphanages. We're gonna need schools. We're gonna need a lot. We got to pump some money into the schools and get some better education with the correct history. And there's a lot of work that we've got to do to lift up the lower class and the middle class and provide better services in many different ways. And I do believe that we are going to have stimulus checks on a monthly basis. I believe that we are going to have what's it called? Where they just every person, no matter what, gets a couple grand a month, few grand a month, and the kids get paid for it, and we have a life where we are not stressed out and freaked out and trying to figure out what to do for money, and then we can just do what we love. We can do what fulfills us. We can do what drives us. We can actually take the time to help people and to serve and to do a good job without having our minds pulled in 1,000 different directions, and we will be united as a people. So you guys, we got a lot to look forward here, and I don't think it's going to take very long. If we make this sacrifice, it'll be a couple weeks. It'll be a couple weeks, and we will provide, if you have questions, if you think that, if you don't see a way to make this work, we have the full picture, and we have a network of really intelligent, really well-placed individuals in many different systems that can make miracles happen. They can really help pull stuff together and make this happen. Okay, so there is going to be a huge amount of faith. There is going to be a huge amount of trust, and so to all of you that are resisting the government and resisting staying home and are getting out there in your cars and saying, screw this, you can't keep me home, I say we protest in a different way, and we stay home. And we stay home even when they say, okay, everybody, you can go back to work now. Please go back to work. Please, let's go. Let's fix the economy. Go back to work. We say, cool. As soon as we take the pedophiles out, and here's the list. Oh, you got these ones on the bottom here. Oh, what about these ones here? Oh, good. Okay. What about that? Yeah, you got to get that one too. I know. Yeah, he's going to be a tough one. Yeah, but We demand it. All right? We can do this. This can be us taking our power back. This can be how we fight back, is by staying inside. Okay? So thank you in advance. I'm sure that you'll be hearing from us soon. Please remember to connect me to anyone that you know that has a huge following and is passionate about this. I'm not going to name any names because I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know who's going to be involved in this, but you have an intuitive hit of who you need to connect me to. And I would love for them to help me do this and use their brilliance and use their ideas. There are people with 1,000 times more information than I have. There are people with a better vision. There are people with a better voice, but we've got to get these people together, and we have to organize. We have to be as well organized as the pedophile lowlifes are, okay? Because they're really well organized. And then also, please post with the hashtag #IStayHomeFor and list your babies. List those that are closest to you. Okay, you guys. Please do this. Please do this. Please do it. Let's do it for our kids. We have to do it for our kids. Please go out on a limb for once. Go out on a limb. We can do this, guys. We can do it, but we have to do it now. We don't have time to sit around and think about it. We don't have time to sit around and wonder if this is the right path. It is, and a lot of you are feeling it, and we can do it now. As soon as they open up the doors and send us all out, if we haven't been able to deliver the message to a mass of people that can really make a difference, then we've lost our opportunity. And I've already spent too much time sitting around and thinking about this and trying to plan it and figure it out. And I don't have time to do that anymore. We don't have time to sit around and wait. Now's the time, guys. All right, so share it. Hashtag your beautiful babies. I stay home for. Hashtag I stay home for. Okay, you guys. Thank you. We can do this. For you QAnons out there, where we go one, we go all. We can do this, guys. For those of you that are questioning if Q is real, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether he is or not. There are millions and millions of people that want the outcome. Whether Trump's going to do it or not, we can do it. It says in the Bible, I'm not good with quotes or details. I'm much more of a big picture kind of person, but it says in the Bible basically that the devil can throw all of his negative energy at us, and we can transmute it, and we can take it, and we can Aikido it, and we can use that to our advantage. Okay, you guys, thank you. God bless you. Keep praying, and we will see you soon.